Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, when you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity with dangerous results. And be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Good bit. All right, folks, we're here. It's Thunder Thursday. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm Tony Marmo.
And I'm Richard Catabiani.
And we're our dynamic duo of once every, I don't know.
Well, I think I get the fifth Thursday of a month, and that's just about as much as I can handle.
You're great. Well,
I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Yeah, no, it's always great being with you. And we have a great lineup of guests today.
Indeed.
That you want to just mention briefly, and then we'll get back to that. But
sure. Our first guest will be Michelle Gramoglia, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Woodland Pond, a remarkable community. Right. Our second author is a New York Times bestseller. His name is Michael Levine. And our third guest is a friend of ours, near and dear to both our hearts, Ann Marat, who is recently retired as Vice President of SUNY Ulster and is now on the board of directors of the Hudson Valley National Center for Veteran Reintegration, which we'll be talking a lot about today.
Very good. Lawrence, have we ever had a New York Times bestseller author on this show?
Not since I've been working here.
So that's a first.
I don't read the New York Times, but I'm sure he's great.
Yeah. Michael Levine. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good. So the other news is that you are now the newly minted president of the Kingston Rotary Club.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor, and I have a great team, and as you very well know, and I know I can rely on you, past district governor, for the help we need to move forward.
I may even show up to your one of your shindigs, your meetings coming up. You're starting to meet in person again.
Yes, we are going to be meeting in September. We are going to revisit our morning meetings and our evening meetings, and they'll all be on a Wednesday. The morning meeting will begin at 7:30 at Dysing's, and our evening meetings will be at Christina's, beginning at 5:30.
Wednesday as well?
Wednesday as well. Everything is really basically one-stop shopping.
That makes it easy. Because I know you used to meet on a Wednesday and then a Thursday, and it was a little confusing where you were. So that's good. Very good.
We're not abandoning the Zoom platform. So although we are meeting every Wednesday. 2 of them will be in person. 2 of them will be on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So
good.
we are not going to miss a weekly meeting.
Good. Well, congratulations for
Thank you.
Getting that going. And I know we were just talking about your revised website, which is good, Kingston Rotary website.
Yep. Been on the phone with, thank you. Been the Kingston, the Club Runner site comes out of Ottawa, Canada, which was really interesting. So I've been on the phone with Zachary and Omar for about a week and a half now, and We've established some really good guidelines on how to keep the site current, and it really does look good.
Good for you. I mean, a lot of clubs and businesses just kind of let their website languish. You know, they don't do a whole lot with it, and maybe websites are not as important as they used to be in this age of social media, but I think it's still important to have, information, especially if you're trying to attract new people and you want to, say, hey, check out our website. It's got all the facts and info there, all the 411, as the kids say, and good for you for being wise enough to take a look at it.
Appreciate it.
Club, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good. We have a couple of announcements here. I'll do one, and then maybe you can do one. This one is our Kingston Community Radio co-host, Christine Hine. She was on for a long time as a regular host. Now she kind of pinch hits when we need her, and a regular guest, I think, on Terrific Tuesdays. So People's Place, which is an amazing organization, I just took a little tour of it on Tuesday. They have a brand new, beautiful wellness center over top of People's Place. It used to be like either a karate thing or a dance studio. It's the windows that you can see as you come right into Kingston over top of People's Place, which now is on the other side of the traffic circle, the roundabout. So that's beautiful. And I was amazed that she has like 20 to 30 volunteers there a day, different shifts, and so much activity there. When I was there, they had the farm stand going on, and so Christine has done such an amazing job there. But today at People's Place, they have something that's called Project Santa. We're honored to have helped thousands of families over the last 49 years to make magical Christmas memories. So they're celebrating Santa, a Project Santa fundraiser this Thursday, today from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And all the Santas will be up on the rooftop. I think Bill Calderera is a Santa.
Yes, Bill and Barbara Cohen,
a Santa.
Both Rotarians in the Kingston Club,
Yep.
by the way.
And we'll just give a quick rundown of who some of the Santas are, and then tell you where you can donate. Bob Miller from WBPM, which is a sister station in 92.5. It's 92.9. Ken Davenport, former owner of Heritage Energy in Costco and big community supporter. Eleni Lazou from the Dietz Stadium Diner. Adrian Martinez from Dietz Stadium Diner as well. Craig Crump, who is the VP of Key Investment Services, Key Bank. Deb Marks from Ulster Corps volunteer. Tony Russo, People's Place volunteer. Julie Colati, Bodies by Colati. Tony Davis, Alderman. This list goes on and on, but we don't have the second page, which there's more pages. But that's when Bill Calderera and Babs's Barbara Cohen would be on. So you can make a donation by going to peoplesplace.org or by phone 338-4030, 338-4030, and you could donate at Venmo People's Place NY. So, or stop by there and just say hi.
I'd just like to add that as the Kingston Rotary Club is now going back to live, shall we say, in-person meetings,
Right.
Our very first speaker in September is Christine Hine.
Great.
And so we're really looking forward to having Ms.
Fantastic.
Hine with us.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is indeed.
Okay, and you have something.
Yes, we have a call to honor here for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier replica, and it is at the Veterans of Foreign War Post 1386, which is by the Bypass in Kingston on August 6th, 7th, and 8th. And basically, there will be a dedication of a detailed replica of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and the 3 crypts that hold the remains of unknown soldiers from World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. And now we have an empty crypt for the Vietnam War.
Oh, nice. Nice.
The replica is really a remarkable thing, and it will be the opening ceremony will be at noon on August 6th, I don't know what day of the week that is, but it's a 3-day affair, August 6th, 7th, and 8th. It goes from 10 in the
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thank you, Tony. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weekend. So 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, and it is free. Memorial will be open to the public and free admission. It's something near and dear to the mission of the Hudson Valley National Center for Veteran Reintegration, and we'll be hearing about that, as I mentioned, with Ann tonight, to this morning, and our second guest, Mike Levine, who's also involved.
Well, very good, very good, very good. So what else is going on in your world, or the world, in your opinion?
Well, I did notice, let me just take a minute to find it. I was studying what was going on about this time last year, and I was really quite curious.
Middle of August. I think we were still allowed to be outside.
Yeah, well, it was getting to be a little hairy.
Right,
then.
right.
So basically, we have
this is right.
Actually, the Health Alliance Hospital, and know something. You're in the healthcare field, as is Michelle. They were beginning to resume outpatient elective surgeries,
right.
and that I thought was very interesting. Also, our county executive, Pat Ryan, called for a county-wide rent freeze amid the coronavirus pandemic. I guess we were sort of beginning to see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. And to conclude, I am a little concerned above the fold, and in Kingston Freeman, you saw just yesterday the
cases are ticking up.
Cases are ticking up again, and that's I don't want to get political, but honestly and truly,
right. The variant, I think, the Delta variant, I guess, is an issue, and a fair amount of folks probably still not vaccinated, but hopefully we can weather this. I think last summer, because I remember doing a lot of Rotary visits outside then, those clubs that were still meeting in person. It was right before the second wave, really. I mean, it was just right. We just found out about it, figured out how to deal with it. Summer was coming, and I think it opened things up a little bit because people had an opportunity to be outside more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then once the second wave hit, September, October, and then I think it started to ramp up, and cases spiked and all kinds of problems, and then a lot more shutdowns happened, I think, as we went into the winter. So this time last year was maybe the last vestige of normalcy back in 2020, but I mean, things are coming around now. There still has to be abundant caution, right?
Absolutely. In fact, when we were talking, Barbara Cohen and I, when we were talking to both Liz and Peter Kiriakou, who owned Christina's, and Eric Dicing, of course, of the famous Dicing, they were really somewhat. They weren't reluctant to have Rotary back, but they did say we are really having trouble finding staff, not just wait staff, sous chefs, people in the kitchen. And so I really do hope that people start visiting restaurants again. And I've noted, I'm sure most people have, and I'm sure you have, Tony, that some of the outdoor seating in the area is just spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
All the restaurants on North Front Street and Main Street, all throughout our tremendous city, are really embrace the idea of outdoor dining. And they just didn't put up, a couple of, bingo tables and a few chairs with one leg shorter than the other.
Yeah.
They really did a great job. Yeah. Some great planting, some very good carpentry. It's just remarkable to see. And I suspect that's going to stick around for a while.
Well, I think so too. Maybe until the cold weather comes, and then the city will probably say, take it down, I would guess. But I think there's been a lot of changes, and restaurants, though, are still struggling mightily finding staff. you just can't talk to anybody that doesn't know that there's plenty. That's our business. Plenty of jobs, not enough people in every single sector, and I scratch my head as to what that reasoning is. It's a combination. It's not one area that's saying, well, the unemployment. As soon as the unemployment insurance runs out, people will come back to the workplace. I think a portion of them will, but there's still going to be a lag. Something that people forget or don't think about, I think about it, is there was because of the pandemic, and I think it's still in place, all the visas for seasonal workers were canceled.
Right.
So any of these folks that come and work at Mohonk,
Right.
Rocking Horse Ranch, you name, the place, Pine Grove probably. The visas were shut down, so folks from South America, Eastern Europe that would always come are not here. So there's a big lack there, and people, U.S. citizens on the sidelines, I think, for whatever reason. And so it's creating a huge, restaurants are closing, not open as much as they were, businesses limiting their hours because of lack of labor.
I would agree with you. Now, as you remember, I was the director of international programs at SUNY Ulster for going on 20 years. And one of the things that my colleagues who are still in the game are telling me that the international programs at both community colleges, state schools, and private universities are done.
Yeah.
Not many kids are coming in.
Yeah.
And one of our Rotarians, who is the chief executive officer of the Children's Home of Kingston, Eric Hotelling, whom you know, also talked about having fewer folks manning the summer camps. A lot of young men and women would come over on an H-1 or a J-1 visa, and they would spend the summer in the bucolic Hudson River Valley, and now they aren't coming.
Right.
And so there is a great caution, and rightly so, but of course the impact on education is severe is the right word.
So we're hoping that as we head into 22, the latter half of 21 here, I know it doesn't look good in terms of steps back with the Delta variant and so anyway, but we got to keep plugging and pressing and. If I tell you, normally when my company is a small staffing company, we deal with maybe 10 open jobs at a time. We have 60 open jobs, 60.
Wow.
And we can't, there's just no way. And companies keep calling us, do you have staff? Do you have staff? Believe me, if we had staff, you'd get them,
Yeah.
Because so anyway, and I thought maybe the influence of folks moving up from the city, would help. But a lot of those folks are working remotely.
Yeah, I've heard the term gig economy, and I'm
Right.
sure you have as well, where a person can sit at his or her desk at home and basically have 5 or 6 different contracts. And the irony is that that's just the way of the future.
I think so.
I really, I'm of a generation, vintage I like to refer to myself as, that
Good word.
yeah,
Good word.
That the nature of our work has changed. Like, I am very interested to hear what Dr. Marat has to say a little later on in the program about online learning.
Yeah.
Now, that is something that I would never quite be able to do because one of my favorite American composers / musician, Frank Zappa, gives you an idea of where I'm coming from, said that he doesn't like computers because computers have no eyebrows. If you are a standard or traditional classroom teacher, which I am, I'd like to look at my kids' faces, my students, I should say, faces. And you can read a lot with the raising of an eyebrow. You can't do that on a computer. I've also got some psychology for people who are therapists, and when they sit in front of a Zoom, they cannot tell the tapping. They can't see the fingers tapping. They can't see the active leg
signs.
So, all of those visual cues that help you lead the discussion to another place are gone.
But I don't know. I mean, as we talked about earlier, I don't think that's going anywhere. The Zoom, that is, or the the online piece is not going anywhere soon. I mean, it's going to be here. I mean, you had mentioned the Rotary Club is going to meet in person for a couple of weeks and Zoom for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, I don't know. It might be here to stay forever. I hate to say that, but it's just part of our culture now, but, the point is there are jobs that obviously don't lend themselves to online presence.
Like bricklaying, perhaps?
Like bricklaying.
Or mosaics and subway systems in New York?
Or a certified nursing assistant in a nursing home.
Correct.
I'd love to take care of you, by Zoom, but I can't change your, blah, blah, blah. I can't.
Right.
I can't. So yeah, it's... I don't know. It's.
Let me just play devil's advocate on this. So a lot of telemedicine is really a brand new because of COVID-19. So we
diagnostic pieces.
Correct.
That's
correct.
Fine, and that works. And I had my first online doctor's visit, a few weeks ago, and that was, she asked me a whole bunch of questions. I answered a whole bunch of questions, and she said, okay, well, I'm going to put you on this, this, and this. And I said, okay, fine, that's cool. But, from an intervention standpoint, you need to be in a facility.
Yeah.
So you can't do that part, at least as much I know. And home care is still an issue, too. So, people are sometimes staff unwilling to go in people's homes. So, it's changed. I mean, the world has definitely changed, and you can feel it. There's a general uneasiness.
Correct.
Right out there, I think. People a little bit more short-tempered, maybe a little bit more road rage than normal.
Yeah. And the notion of bedside manner, which is basically, holding the patient's hand, wiping the patient's brow, turning a page in a book. That is just not possible,
right?
Can't.
So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. As Confucius says, we live in interesting times. Right?
And as Yogi Berra says,
if you see a fork in the road, take it.
Or, it's tough to make predictions, especially about the future. So, from Confucius to Yogi Berra, welcome to Kingston Community Radio.
Right. And Thunder Thursday. This is great.
No lightning, by the way.
Are you watching the Olympics at all? Do you watch any of that stuff?
I have seen only the highlights thereof. Yeah. And as you know, one of our Rotarians, our membership chair, is Rachel Reyes Jackson from the Philippines.
She's amazing.
And the Philippines won their first gold medal in 100 years of competition.
You got to be kidding me.
And you know what it was? I was teasing Rachel about it. No, it was weightlifting. There's this young, tiny Filipino woman came up, and I'm sure you do this every day when you get up. But did you bench press 270 pounds?
I bench press a cup of coffee.
You go. So
70 pounds.
So I watched I watched that, and I ran in college and I ran in high school, and I actually coached track. So I'm a big track and field guy.
Yeah.
These guys are running remarkable, and women are one. I mean, my car doesn't go that fast.
What's a little bit sad is there's no audience or fans, right? So you see empty arenas, and I was watching some kind of a kayaking thing. It looked like just a gigantic force of water that they had to kayak back in or whatever, this little obstacle course, and not one person in the stands. Sad, and Japan's talk about the economic impact of that.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people, maybe, I don't know how many folks show up to Olympics, and spend money in the hotels and the restaurants, and that didn't happen. So, all these unintended consequences still of the pandemic, but kudos to them for pulling it off. And I think, the whole issue with Simone Biles.
Yes.
I think that's, sad, but also important that someone with such a high public presence and status is willing to say that essentially she has some mental health issues, and bringing that up in an international stage as a focus,
Right.
and a spotlight on that. So kudos to her.
So we have Malia, we have Greta Thunberg,
Yeah.
we have Simone Biles. We have a wave of young women
Yeah,
who basically are saying basta on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Enough of this.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk a little bit about the reality of the
Right.
pressures that
Yeah.
people.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm of the firm belief that perfection is impossible, but excellence isn't.
Right,
I mean,
right.
people who are bent on being perfectionists are
Right.
oftentimes really not quite ready to move forward.
Accept reality, right?
Yes. So,
Right.
and the fact is that she's done a great job. She's a credit to her family
Yeah.
and the
Top
country.
of her profession. I mean,
So take a
say-
rest, kid.
Yeah. I mean, and good for her. I mean, really, I know everyone just like, oh my gosh, what just happened, and whatever a twisty is. I was
Well, I'm practicing my double Lutz.
Yeah.
That's right after the bagel and cream cheese. I just want you to know that.
right. No, but she was saying she has this. Well, the Olympic athletes, the gymnasts, I guess, were talking about twisties, which is something that your mind and your body are not connected. You think you should be able to do X, Y, Z, whatever, jump or spin or turn, but they get twisties and they can't execute what the body can't execute what the mind is telling them to do.
Correct.
And so, pretty interesting. I mean, I think it happens to us mere mortals. But we just, I guess, take a sick day or something from work, or who knows what. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't
Can't take a sick day off the parallel bars.
Right. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting.
But I think what I'm learning throughout everything that has happened in the last 18 months is that we as humans endure.
Yeah.
I am totally committed and convinced
Yeah.
that one of the remarkable
Adjust.
we adjust, we endure,
Yep.
we retool,
Right.
and we succeed. And
Right. Yeah.
I like that. I take comfort in the fact that
Yeah.
we
I agree.
endure.
Yeah, humans have done that for a long, long time. So let's talk a little bit about KCR. One, thank you to our underwriters for continuing to support us month to month. And you can go on mykcr.org and take a look at our underwriters, and please support those great local businesses. These are not the big box stores necessarily. Nothing against those folks, but they're in Timbuktu and Timbuk3. So support our local businesses that support KCR, and our listeners who send in monthly checks and support us. We have our Happy Christmas Fund coming up, Lawrence. And
Yep, and we have a meeting next Wednesday
Yep.
to get the
Get
to
that
get everyone
going.
together to
get the framework going for that.
Get
That's going to be on
good
November.
good word framework.
Framework, man. We need.
I like it.
You like right framework? It's like building a house.
that's
so
right.
so that's going to be November 4th at.
Yep, and I spoke with Sally already. We're all good to go. No masks. So
Right. At Boyce's.
yeah, I'll be sending out a letter. Yeah, Boyce Brothers, November 4th, 7 to 5.
Right.
We're all good to go.
Yep.
We got a good lineup this year. Of good hosts. I think it's going to be. I think we're going to. It's
I
going
think
to be.
Richard, you might be on one of the hosts. I'm not sure.
We might have to slide him into a half-hour segment somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere with us in
Happy
the.
to help.
Somewhere with us in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe because me and you were on for like an hour and a half by ourselves.
We can do that.
And I know I get tired of you after about 15 minutes.
I'm tired of both of you already.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We've only been here 20 minutes.
I might just read out of a phone book starting with A. I don't know.
Well, it'll be good this year. Last year we were limited on food because of everything. We weren't allowed
pandemic.
to have so many people in there. This year it'll feel like it was in the previous years.
Right.
A lot of people stop into Boyce Brothers during the morning. Just remember the one guy, or is it the lady that brings that freaking whole jar of change? I'm still depositing that change now. I mean, it's got to weigh like 50 pounds, Richard.
Yeah.
So actually, when she brings it in, I take it out of the thing, out of the plastic thing, because it's
jar.
too heavy to carry.
Yeah.
And then I put it into an envelope and leave it in the car, and then Then we go to Ulster Savings and deposit it into the account. But
So the change this year, the Happy Christmas Fund has been going on for 56
I think this is the 56th or 50. It's either 56 or 55. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
1966 it started.
Yeah, so that's...
So maybe it's
this is
55. Maybe I was-
This is 56. Oh, no, this is 22, so it's 55. 55.
21.
Yeah, so that, and the difference this year is that KCR will also be recipient, taking some of the portions of the proceeds for our operations and rent and insurance.
Yeah, what we did is last year we had such a great year, Richard, that we used to do separate radiothons. Now, instead, we're in a small town. We can't keep asking people for money a year. So we're going to do one big one once a year, and that'll cover both, because you can't do Happy Christmas Fund without KCR, because you need the radio.
Right.
And Pamela is nice enough to donate the 10 hours of radio time that day.
Don Verity.
and
company.
And who's the new...
Yep.
Randy Turner. Randy Turner's now
great.
he's now running the show over there.
Yep.
And I've been speaking with him and Don about it, and they're fine with it.
Yep.
And it's
So-
going to be nice. I'm actually looking forward to it.
So we
too.
should.
Me
yeah,
too.
Yeah, it'll be a great time, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll raise a lot of money for. I think last year, Lawrence, was it 500 families or roughly?
Somewhere in there, yeah, and
benefited
around,
by the Happy Christmas Fund.
yeah.
Roughly, I don't know.
Yeah, and around 60, somewhere between 58 and 60 we got.
Right.
And we usually our goal is like 40 or 45.
Right.
So we surpassed that, and
Yeah.
and then Bob Circasano came up with a great idea, and Greg and the four of us, me, Tony, and Greg and Bob, have been working together since
Yeah.
February. We've
Yeah.
been sitting down at least once a month and going over certain things, and we've come up with a game plan that
Yeah,
we're
it's
now
good.
going to pass on to the other hosts. That I think it's rock solid. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is the way to go. That way we don't have to have these little $10,000 radiothons where we only get $2 or $3 grand, and then we
Right.
got to do it again.
And we ask people once a year for.
Right, you
money.
ask them once a year for a nice
Yeah.
donation, and that covers both of us, and
Right.
then we're good.
Right.
Okay, so we're getting down to the half hour.
Yeah, let's,
Why don't we go to break?
I think we have our first guest out in the green room. She's enjoying the delights of coffee and Danish out there. No, there's no Danish. I'm only
There's
kidding.
no Danish
All
out
right,
there.
Let's
All right.
take it away, Lawrence.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, folks, we're back on. This is KCR's Thunder Thursday, and we're broadcasting live from 16 Lucas Avenue.
Indeed.
The second floor of beautiful uptown Kingston. Yeah, that place.
That works.
And this is Tony Marmo.
And I'm Richard Catabiani. And with us this morning, we have our first guest, Michelle Gramoglia. I hope I said that right.
You did. Very
and,
good.
Very good.
All I can say is that I have been hearing about Michelle for about 3.5 years because I work at Woodland Pond and one of the remarkable programs you have. And finally met her for the first time in person today, this moment. And
really?
Yeah. I've only...
You guys have never met face-to-face?
We never met face-to-face.
I sign the checks, and I likewise have heard about, all the time. Our residents absolutely love your program. But yes, this is the first time we've met face-to-face.
Oh, wow.
It's always good to meet a Kingston High School graduate who has done good in the world. So
good.
I know that you are a graduate of Kingston High School. I know you've stayed in the area, which is very, very important. I know you live in Saugerties, and you have 2 children, and you are married to a police lieutenant.
There you go.
That's me in a nutshell.
That's a story.
And I also noted that you are not only the chief executive officer of this remarkable community, but you are also been appointed to the leading age New York continuing care retirement community, and you are now in a cabinet member of that group, and that allows you are now a voting member. So you are really positioned well to make some remarkable changes.
Yeah, it's that particular role is one that I enjoy enormously. It's a state level cabinet for Leading Age New York, which is a significant advocacy organization for long-term care communities, nursing homes, assisted living, and I'm the president of the cabinet for CCRCs. So get together with
CCRC.
CCRC is a continuing care retirement community, which Woodland Pond is one of only 12 in the state. So we offer retirement living for people over age 62, and we go all the way from independent living to assisted living. We have dementia and Alzheimer's support in our memory care unit, and then we have skilled nursing, so long-term care and short-term rehab.
Located in?
New Paltz.
Beautiful New Paltz.
Beautiful New Paltz, yes.
Overlooking the Gunks, right?
Yeah. We're right on North Putt Corners Road, and the way that the property was cut, it's quite remarkable. So we've got 84 acres. I don't even know if you know this, Richard, but of our 84 acres, half is in a conservation easement with the Walk Hill Valley Land Trust. Wow. So it can never be developed. So it's really pristine. It's a pristine location. Our conservation easement butts up to the Millbrook Preserve. Gorgeous trail systems, very natural, open space, and then we have an unobstructed view of the ridge. So it's a stunning setting.
Before we talk a little bit more about Woodland Pond, I'm always interested, and I ask this of just about everybody who's been on this program when Tony and I are hosting. What was the spark? What was the incident in your life that made you take this road? Because this is not an easy road to navigate. I mean, talk about speed bumps and stop signs, and I can honestly tell you, in the 3.5 years I've been there, I've lost some people, and I've been crushed.
Yeah, it's hard. So actually, my path to Woodland Pond was a little bit interesting. I went to the University of Massachusetts for actually accounting. So I got my degree in, and for the first 7 years of my career, I was a public accountant with Pricewaterhouse, and so PricewaterhouseCoopers at the time. So I thought that I was going to do that forever. I was going to do people's taxes, and that was going to be my job. I was going to be a CPA. The money was great, and the experience was outstanding. I had, amazing clients. I learned a ton, but I really did not feel fulfilled at all. And as I tell our new employees at orientation, if you don't know about auditing, basically all you're doing all the time is checking other people's work. And it wasn't interesting to me. It didn't feel fulfilling. So I started to look for, other pathways when I was on maternity leave with my oldest child, and Kingston Hospital, known to Mr. Marmo, actually built Woodland Pond. A lot of people don't realize that.
Did not know that.
And some smart CEO a long time ago in a land far, far away
Commendable.
thought that this was a good idea.
Commendable. I'm impressed.
You didn't know that part.
I did not. I love this.
Yeah, Tony was a big part of Woodland Pond well before I was involved.
Yeah.
2001,
Three.
2002, 3?
Yeah, no, like one, and then it took a couple of years. I mean, we traveled all over God's green earth. We went to Long Island, we went to Vermont, looking at other CCRCs. We had a consultant at the time. The board was smart enough to think that this was the wave of the future, and there were not many around. So it started, but then, as you know, halted.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and then by that time I had left Kingston Hospital in August of 2003. So, but the board, to their credit, and the subsequent administration kept up the idea that this is something that the community needs. It was a great fit, and you came along and did an amazing job. Talk about the fact that there was as soon as this got built, there was a recession.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Housing prices.
Yeah. So it was tough. So to make a long story short and just wrap that up a little bit, I was hired by Dave Scarpino, who was the CFO at Kingston Hospital at the time. He was looking for a controller, and I had actually CCRC clients when I was an auditor, so I knew the financial model. So he said, we're building this community. I want to get you on board. So I came in on, really the ground floor. Construction had just begun in 2007 when I joined in, and then the doors opened in 2009. Initially, I was the controller at Woodland Pond, so I was there in a financial role. But as Tony said, we opened in 2009, which was right after, right when the recession had really taken hold. And it was challenging because typically our residents sell their primary residence to move in. And so although we had, hundreds of people that had put down deposits, they either couldn't sell their homes or they couldn't get for their homes what they had thought that they were going to get. So it was expected initially that we were going to take about 2 years to fill, and we took about 5 years to fill. So that was tough. That was very tough.
So can you talk a little bit about how a person or a family of a vintage generation might want to get, how do you get involved? Because I just thought I heard you say that a person has, if they're living in a house and you want to sell your house and move into Woodland Pond, you actually help people arrange that? You work along the lines of trying to arrange their finances so that when the house is sold, it all fits in. Can you explain to us and everyone else who's listening how that works?
Sure.
Please?
So Woodland Pond, I think it's important to just say we are a not-for-profit organization. A lot of people are surprised by that. If you've ever come to the community and you walk in, it's really a visually stunning place. Somewhat hard to believe it's not-for-profit, but we are a very mission-driven, not-for-profit organization. So the way it works in New York is most of our residents enter into what's called a residence and care agreement. So you're paying an upfront entrance fee, which there's a range, and there's actually right now we have about 72 different price points. But you pay an upfront entrance fee. You select if you would like it to be 90% refundable to you, 50% refundable to your estate, actually, or no refund after 4 years. And at each of those price points, you pay a different amount. The more you want back, the more you pay in the beginning. And then they pay a monthly service fee. So the whole purpose of this and the reason that these communities exist in New York State is to try to allow folks to preserve their assets so that when they need long-term care down the road, they don't lose it to Medicaid, they don't drain their assets and then go onto the Medicaid rolls. Now, that being said, in our assisted living, our memory support, and our skilled nursing unit, we actually do take folks directly from the community. In
addition to residents.
Right. And they can stay there long term. And in our skilled nursing unit, we accept Medicaid, which a lot of people are not aware of. So just as, Tenbrook Commons, Golden Hill, they have primarily Medicaid residents. We do accept Medicaid residents. The waiting list is quite lengthy. We accept Medicare and a few other, community-based insurances. So, it's a way to preserve your assets. It's a way to ensure for yourself that you've got care for life. And I think the biggest impact is definitely on spouses and families, because they're so appreciative that their parents have selected this model. They're taken care of. Their path is set. And, you certainly, I'm sure, know people that have had to care for their aging parents or figure out what they're going to do as needs change. Dementia might set in, person needs 24/7 care.
One spouse or the other, right? And not, yeah.
Right.
So
And if you're in a home environment, managing that process is impossible. It's impossible. So it's daunting to some people to think, oh gosh, this entrance fee is kind of high. That seems concerning to me. But when you think about the fact that at the end of the contract, you can opt to get some of that back or most of it back if you choose that contract. But more importantly, you've set yourself up for care. And then you can just enjoy, your retirement and your aging process.
Thank you. I noticed that isolation was the most frightening factor when we were not able to continue our play readers group. We waited, and then we tried Zooming, which was not without its challenges, especially if you're reading plays out loud. And I am amazed at how many programs you offer. I have a copy of the June newsletter right here.
Wow. Oh, wow. How did you get your hands on that gem?
Well,
my goodness.
Sorry, my lips are sealed. But I noticed in the interest groups, and I'd like you to tell us about that in a minute, you have over 25 programs that would, I honestly think, just just don't keep people isolated. So if you are ambulatory and you are ready, no matter what your skill set is, you have 25 programs to pick from. Can you tell us a little bit about that, if you will?
It's a lot. There is something going on in our calendar every day. We were able to keep a lot of that up through the pandemic because we do have a closed circuit television channel.
1340, correct?
Yes, now known as WPTV.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Yes, I know, we're official. Yeah. What happens is our residents are incredibly diverse in terms of their backgrounds. So many come from Ulster County, but also many come from Manhattan or other parts of the country and then have connections to this area. But they all bring their own life experiences, their own interests. And so we have a list of, book clubs, play readers groups, poetry, all kinds of musical things. A dulcimers group. Do you know what a dulcimer?
Heard them.
Do you know what a dulcimer is?
I do, in fact.
I did not.
Well, okay.
Yes. And I don't know any other CCRC that has a dulcimer group, and ours is growing. So, we've got a handbell ringers group, just all kinds of things.
That's great.
When an interested resident comes in, they bring their interests and kind of says, they say to people, I play ukulele, so I want to start a ukulele group. That just happened with the new set of residents. So that list is dynamic and it changes and it comes and goes. But one of the things that you probably have felt when you're at Woodland Pond is it's very both of you. I mean, very family-like. Mm-hmm. It's warm. It's people are generally welcoming. Mm-hmm. Some of people got kind of testy during the pandemic, which is totally understandable. I think not seeing each other and just interacting with each other virtually, even though they were in the community together, people were a little bit shorter with each other. I think we see that even just in social media. You say things when you're not with somebody in a room that if you're online or if you're virtual, you might be more snarky or people got a little bit like that, even though it's not usually like that at Woodland Pond. But by and large, it's such a warm and welcoming community that group, that interest group list can come and grow. Anything that anybody wants to do, we're always willing to try. It's just, we want the community to be what the residents want it to be. It's not my community, it's the residents' community.
Talk about the food experience, which is always important in some kind
For those that can't see, I'm rolling my eyes and
the
shaking
eyeballs
my
went
head.
up. I know. That's the Italian part of her. So, no, I mean, people, I'll tell you this quick story. When I was running a Kingston Hospital, we had 2 culinary trained chefs serving food. I mean, preparing food, not serving, but preparing. And so people would say, well, the healthcare is super important, but we chose Kingston Hospital because the food was better. I'm not kidding you. So food is a big part. Obviously, the activities and interaction is a big deal. Your dining room is stunning. It's beautiful. And talk about how important food is to people.
The most important thing.
All right.
When you live in a retirement community or you work in
Right.
and you see this, it is the most important thing. And our biggest challenge, other than staffing.
Right.
But staffing actually is a big challenge in
Yeah,
dining
because
now
it's tied
too,
to
in
food.
culinary.
Right, sure. Yeah.
The dining experience. So we have in our independent living, we've got a restaurant style dining room, and we also have a walk up. It's a pub, so it's during the day we sell grab and go food, and then have happy hours and things in the afternoons.
Like an adult beverage you can get there.
Yes, adult beverages and so forth. It's very tough because our team works very, very hard. Mm-hmm. We have a great executive chef. We have access to whatever ingredients we'd like to be able to purchase when the supply chain is not broken like it is right now. Right. But at the end of the day, it's always the food's still coming out of the same kitchen. It's still the same people making the food. And the residents, they yearn for a different restaurant style experience every night, and we can provide different meals and do different experiences, but it's a big challenge. So we do have a dining committee. So you were talking about the interest groups. We also have how many committees here, and those committees actually, so dining, physical plant,
and all the residents are involved.
11 committees, and the residents are driving the bus on this, right?
And plus the residents council, which is basically like a student government but made up of residents. Our residents have a huge voice in what happens at Woodland Pond.
Yeah.
We actually have 2 voting members of our board of directors are residents.
Oh, that's great.
So, the dining committee is a very vocal group, letting us know what's working, what's not. We're trying to be responsive all the time, and also at the same time feeding 100 people a day, 3 meals a day in the health center. So doing, all appropriate diets for different things that they need. And, but yeah, the dining experience is the most important thing. The most important thing.
Yeah, so when I, as a matter of fact, I will be at Woodland Pond this afternoon because I will be with you from 2 to 6, and every time I leave, the smell's so good.
For dinner, the
For
dinner smell.
Yeah, and I've been invited to meals there from some of the folks in the group, and I've never had a bad meal there. It's great. I also like the idea that you have people, and I know this is the difficulty right now, but people serving. I mean, it's real, and it's really lovely. It's first class. It's really good.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm sure that our dining team is appreciative of that. I think one of the things about Woodland Pond that I think you both know is one of the things that I think differentiates us from other retirement communities, long-term care facilities, is our interest in being a community collaborator. So one of the things that we are is the first job for a lot of people in New Paltz. Mm-hmm. High school students, SUNY New Paltz students, and some may see that as a challenge and say, I don't want to be the first job, I don't feel like training, blah, blah, blah. But we really like that. And we have had so many people that have started with us in, let's say, dining services, and we have tuition assistance and, connections with BOCES, other programs. We want to invest in our staff, have them improve themselves, obtain certification, obtain maybe nursing licensure, and just stay with Woodland Pond and progress through their career.
Right.
And we've had so many examples of that. Folks that start at age, 17 in the dining room, have gone up through the ranks and become an LPN, now maybe working on their RN, and maybe have been with Woodland Pond for 8 or 10 years. So that's great that you're feeling that experience, because a lot of those staff members are brand new to the workforce.
So let's I just want to
Not at
let
all.
people know who they're listening to. Michelle Gramaglia is your title.
President and CEO.
Thank you very much. Of
welcome.
Woodland Pond, located in New Paltz. Just give a website or some social media info or whatever, if people want to go on and take a look at your website. What is it?
Sure, thanks. We're on Facebook at Woodland Pond at New Paltz, and website is woodlandpondnp.org.
Okay.
But if you go to Google and put in Woodland Pond, we pop right up.
Right.
Yeah,
good.
Well, I just like to say that, in other cultures, the elderly are considered national treasures. Japan, China, many, many places. And in America, in the United States, I should say, that didn't seem to be the case. But what I am seeing now is great reverence for the many, many accomplished people who are at the community. And I really find that totally revitalizing. I mean, I am amazed by the people in the group at the Play Readers. I remember just very quickly, one of our Rotarians, Andrea Laurie, her father was in the Play Readers group when I first got there, and he was the first pediatric heart transplant surgeon.
Wow.
And as you very well know, Michelle, you can go down the list of every single one of those folks.
Yeah.
And they are remarkably accomplished and humble.
Incredibly humble. Oftentimes, I have said at Woodland Pond, I look at what our residents have accomplished and have not talked about, and feel totally inadequate. You feel like, how could I ever live up to something like this? We had an art scope event on Monday, and that featured 3 of our residents. We do art openings, one of the many things that we do, and one of the all 3 were astounding. One was a painter, one was a photographer, and one was an illustrator for scientific and medical magazines and journals. The work of this gentleman, his name is George Kelvin. If you look at it, it's hanging in our Performing Arts Center right now, the exhibit. It looks like it's computer generated, and everything that he did is by hand.
Yeah, wow.
You should take a look when you're down there today. And just keep in mind, what you're looking at, he did by hand.
Wow.
And you would never know it. He would never talk about it. But, I mean, Dr. Lurie, there are hundreds and hundreds of examples of just accomplishment.
And, when you walk into the community on campus, the art exhibits that you have in the hall, I mean, this is not corporate art. These are residents who are incredibly accomplished. Our good friend Trina Green, who's made these sculptures all over the county, the Ulster County Poorhouse, which is where the Ulster County Fair is now, and that wonderful statue of Sojourner Truth carrying a bucket of beer to her Dutch owner in Port Ewan. Everywhere you turn, and when you enter this community, there is vital sign of just incredible living, and I love that.
So if someone wants to check out Woodland Pond, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah,
How do they do that?
I would just suggest go to our website. On there's plenty of information about how to contact us. You can also always walk in. We provide information, we do tours and so forth. I'm there every day during the week, and I have an open door policy for anybody that wants to talk, chat, say hi, need something. I'm the complaint department, but also hopefully the happy greeter for most people. So, you can ask for me if you walk in the door. I'd love to say hi to people. And
I will attest the fact that, when I hear CEO, no one's going to answer the phone. I'll have to leave a voicemail. Right. I called Michelle to see if she'd like to be our guest, and hello, it was Michelle. You answer your own phone, lady. Well done.
Yeah,
well done.
Thank you.
So here's my 3 M's that describe Woodland Pond. You ready?
Yep.
Mohonk Mountain House.
Of course.
Right. Marriott Hotel.
Okay.
Mount Sinai Medical Center.
Okay. I like it.
3 M's. Mohonk, Marriott, Mount Sinai. So you get a medical experience, certainly. Well, you get the ambiance of Mohonk and everything that goes on there. You get the hotel services of Marriott and the medical help that comes from a place like Mount Sinai.
Yeah, you had a great vision for this place.
Thank you.
You know?
And I'm very happy to have learned that today, Tony,
Yeah.
honestly and truly. He's another humble fellow when you get right down to it. There's an awful lot of stuff that Tony does in the community, not only as CEO of Norman Staffing, but as a Rotarian. And I guess what we should say is that what I'm experiencing at Woodland Pond is very much Rotarian. It is service above self. And I find that just remarkably inspirational, just to let you know.
Well, I appreciate that. It is 100% a dream job. I never saw myself in this path, but by and large, I think the people that really can come into Woodland Pond and live the experience, you don't want to leave.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
It's a fantastic place to be
way, shape, or
associated
form.
with.
It's one of my proudest accomplishments. It didn't get done certainly in my tenure, but the idea started, and people after me made it happen, and you made it a great reality. It's just grown leaps and bounds, Michelle, since you've been there. So happy to brag on y'all every once in a while.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
If we could create a couple of more healthcare providers and folks that are in the food industry, it's just, it's a pandemic. It's an epidemic of employment crisis that we have never seen before. So, people call and say, well, can you have staff for this? Oh yeah, we have them all down in the basement. We're just going to let one out at a time. Right. No, they got beamed up. All the folks got beamed up to the moon. And I don't know where they are. Yeah. They're hiding.
Service employees and healthcare are impossible to find.
Yep. So
we're feeling it acutely. And thank you to Norman Staffing for all that you can do for us.
I know,
we're partnered together.
Yep, absolutely.
But I know you guys are in a tough spot too.
We are. I mean, I was telling Richard earlier, we normally have dealing with 10 jobs, we're dealing with 60 and 70 jobs now.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's just like, people keep calling. And now the reality is we say, look, we will try. There are certainly no promises, and our staff, is stressed to the max because they can't find people. They want to find people, or they'll talk to 4 or 5 people that are just not employable. They think they're employable. They're not employable. So, it is what it is. Michelle Gramalia, thank you so much for all you're doing. Richard, thank you for bringing Michelle here today and for what you're doing there.
Finally, happy to meet the lady face to face, and I have to tell you, you are loved and well respected by everybody in your community.
I appreciate that.
And I think that's a credit to you, and continue the good work. Ever upward, as we say.
Ever upward. Thanks, guys. Thank you,
Michelle.
gentlemen.
Great
Thank you
job.
for having me.
Lawrence, take it away.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're back on. This is Thunder Thursday. We're broadcasting live from 16 Lucas Avenue in beautiful downtown Kingston, New York. This is Tony
Downtown?
Ramo.
And I'm Richard Catabiani.
Is it uptown? I'm sorry, it's uptown. I downtown Burbank? I don't know. Where the hell are we?
Not Argentina.
Not Argentina. Nice. And you are again?
Richard Catabiani.
I think I stepped on your line.
That's quite all right. Happy to be here.
So before we get to our esteemed guest, we have to do birthdays, Richard, part of our JOB. And maybe we'll even ask Michael to participate in this. Guest Michael Levine.
Sure.
Overton. Yeah. Okay. So, Richard, you can
Okay,
start.
so we want to give a very happy birthday to Rob Overton from his son, Blake. And so a very happy birthday to you, Rob.
Okay. Michael?
And this is to Sue Cutrone.
Okay.
Sue, this is from your friends at People's Place, and they say, and I'm with them, we hope you enjoy your special day.
Okay.
Well done, Michael.
You said it like a true Italian.
Well,
yeah, but you, Brooklyn.
A lot of Italians in the Bronx. The Bronx.
The Bronx. The Bronx. Okay. So let me announce the winner of the delicious cow pie from 62 O'Neill Street. If you haven't had a cow pie, you haven't lived, you know. And so the winner of the cow pie for today, July 29th, is... That's my Saratoga impersonation. Sue Catrone. There you go. There's Sue Catrone. So pick up your cow pie at 62 O'Neill Street, Sue, and enjoy it. And happy birthday to you and the others on this great day.
Okay, so I am very, very pleased, in fact, thrilled to have Michael Levine with us today. And this is going to take about a minute and a half to introduce Michael so that you get the background. Michael is a 25-year veteran of the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA.
Sheesh.
The man sitting across the table from us, Anthony, has testified as an expert witness in 500 civil and criminal trials, both in the United States and abroad. Michael has lectured on undercover operations for the United States Defense Intelligence Agency. He's run seminars on advanced undercover operations for the FBI, the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Wow.
Michael has been called by PBS's 60 Minutes America's top undercover cop for 25 years. Michael's also appeared as an expert commentator on Dateline NBC, the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour, Inside Edition,
Yeesh.
the Geraldo Rivera Show, Crossfire,
Mamma
and
mia.
Contrapunto, Crossfire's Spanish version, Good Morning America, Charlie Rose, Bill Moyers, and Stephen Colbert. Michael, you are such a slacker.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
no idea. But why you're here is
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, we're going to get to that. Go ahead.
I'm impressed.
Also, Michael was a host on the very famous New York City radio station WBAI, and I have listened to a couple of CDs, and we need to get Michael here as a host every now and then. Tony, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Okay,
That'd be great.
So what catapulted my friend Michael to fame was his book called Deep Cover, and it became a New York Times bestseller. And it is a very, very interesting topic because it is dangerously critical. It's a criticism of the CIA and the influence it played in the DEA operations. And you are the fellow who said that the CIA was instrumental in the creation of the Bolivian drug cartel La Cooperación, which you called the General Motors of cocaine. So let's have you say a few things, and then I'm going to talk about the book that I've just finished reading, The Big White Lie. But, Michael, one of the things that I'd like to know is, yes, welcome. You're also bilingual, which is what made you the most a very successful undercover cop. I know you're from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn. We're both city kids. What was the spark that brought you to the life that you've lived? And given what I've read, I'm amazed you're still alive.
The spark that brought me to live a life very much on the edge, very much an adrenaline ride, 25-year adrenaline ride, was a near-death experience, a bullet that didn't fire. Memorial Day, about 1958, in the Air Force. I was an air policeman, heavyweight boxer, Plattsburgh Air Force Base. Didn't think I could die. No kid 18 years old in that kind of shape and that mentality thinks he can die. And I lent a hat to a fellow named Haywood, who was one of the fellow air policemen, for the parade. And actually didn't lend it to him. I sold it to him for $3.
Well done. You could have got 4, Michael. You could have got 4.
You're an entrepreneur.
Well, in 1958, you could $3. You could get drunk all weekend. So, sure enough, we did the parade. A week or two goes by, and Haywood doesn't pay me. Now, I hesitate to bring this up but this is the way it was in 1958. I was the only white guy on an old black boxing team. Race was a very touchy subject in 1958 in that base. And the reason why was if you were an African American and you went overseas and you married a white woman, there were very few places they could bring you back in the U.S. without
problems.
So, but Plattsburgh was one of those places, and they were big problems. A lot of men from the South, a lot of African Americans married to white women, and
big
just
big racism, right?
Yeah, half the country was still half the country was Jim Crow laws. So,
correct.
And I was their police. Mm-hmm. Now, Haywood, I had this was not racial to me. Mm-hmm. This was my $3 hat.
It was a
city
money
kid.
Deal. It was a
city.
money. Right, he's making a deal.
It's a really simple thing.
Right. So 2-3 weeks goes by, and I'm broke, as I usually was. You don't make much. And I asked Haywood for the money, and a whole bunch of people in the barracks, and he goes off on me, Jew this, Jew that, Jew this. I didn't even know where that was coming from. Right. And I couldn't say the in kind, for black.
The other way around.
My friend.
Your buddy. Right, your buddies.
So ends up we're going to have a fight behind the barracks. Now Haywood was about 156 pounds, and I was a 227-pound heavyweight boxer.
Yeah.
I wasn't that good, but I was still a trained boxer.
Right, 70 pounds heavier than this guy.
Well, this became a huge racial thing on my base. Maybe 400 or 500 people show up behind the barracks.
Wow.
And Haywood doesn't show up. And I was glad because I don't know.
You would have pulverized them.
Yeah. There was no
contest.
No. Yeah. So he doesn't. But I was, again, the 18-year-old kid from the Bronx. I shut my mouth off. I said a lot of things about Haywood, really basically that he's a coward. A couple of more weeks goes by, and I was taking courses at Plattsburgh State Teachers College, and my roommate Richie O'Hara and I went out with 2 girls, and we brought them over to the dog kennels. We had the dogs go through attack and showing off.
Yeah.
And on the way back, we're going through a gate. And who's on the gate but Haywood?
Oh, jeez.
He calls me out of the car, and I stand there in front of him, and he walks up to me and smacks me in the face. Now I could see the smack coming.
Yeah.
But I let it go. It's like, okay, you want it so bad, I'm going to give it to you.
Take a shot.
Yeah, you had your shot. Now I start to move. He pulls his gun.
Oh boy.
Aims at my stomach, pulls the trigger. He shoots center mass, and it clicks. Now I
did not fire.
Didn't fire. And this wasn't even real to me. I mean, I understood that I came very close to dying. Close. It was a miracle. But not until 1974, now I'm a DEA agent. I'm in the bullpen under the Southern District Court. There's a bullpen, all cages where we brought prisoners before they were arraigned. And DEA in those years, the only federal agency filling up cages was DEA. And so we're there all the time. And I'm down there with prisoners, and all of a sudden I hear a voice. That is the luckiest MF in the world, yelling across this bullpen crowded with people. And it's my Air Police Sergeant, Jimmy Smith. Oh. And then he starts to rant. He says, this guy, he said, and now he's talking to me. Do you know that Haywood wanted to kill you? And he was surprised when the gun didn't go off. Haywood got arrested, and the gun fired every time.
Wow.
Now, here's the interesting thing. 1973, it became real that day. Although it was real, but not as real as it became that day. But it was real enough before that I understood that you're not promised 10 minutes from now in this life. The nature of this life, at 18, this was like winning the lotto in a way. I said, I'm not going to waste a second. I want to live. I want to have 1 million women. I want to go everywhere. And how else do you? I was a poor kid. Now I'm going through. We cut to graduating Hofstra University with a degree in accounting. I'm already married. Already have a son. My son, my baby boy would soon later die as a policeman. He would be shot, killed, which is part of the story. Keith Richard Levine. And Keith was shot chasing a guy. There was a gunfight. The guy turned and he shot and hit my son where the bullet should have hit me. And I could never ever get this out of my head. Anyway, the question. I'm at Hofstra University. A guy named Steve Crane, I'll never forget him, comes up to me, says, "You look like your head is up your rectum. What's wrong with you?" I was about to graduate with a degree in accounting, which I couldn't stand.
Yeah, you're not an accountant.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So Steve goes, "Why don't you take the U.S. Treasury law enforcement test?" And he gives me a pamphlet, and that changed my life.
Wow. That's a great story, man.
Let me just segue with great story. You are looking at one of the most remarkable writers I've read.
And storyteller.
Oh, man. And the book I have in front of me, which is called The Big White Lie, the CIA and the cocaine epidemic. I have to tell you, Michael, I was like a fly on the wall. As a top secret deep cover agent, exposed the CIA sabotage on the war on drugs. I thought it was hair-raising. It moves with the speed of a first-rate thriller. And I followed you in this book through a world of ruthless drug barons, crazy assassins, secret police, corrupt government officials. And that leads you to the trail of a woman whom Pablo Escobar called the Queen of Cocaine, Sonia Attila. Let me just give the folks.
This guy's a great setup, isn't he? He's a great setup.
Let me just
travel with me.
I know he does.
I'm there. But I don't want to spend no more $3 on a hat. I'm telling you right now. Your undercover begins when Sonia Attila, deemed too powerful by the male-dominated cocaine aristocracy, is targeted for death. So she strikes a deal, a secret deal. In return for protection, she will give the DEA its first look at the inner workings of the cartel. You pose as Sonia's half Sicilian, half Puerto Rican mafioso business partner. You are supplied with a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, an undercover crew, and a plane load of cocaine as props. What?
God.
Como un sueño, no?
So,
like a dream.
So how did you?
Oh my God!
First of all,
you're making a movie about this guy.
I'm talking. I'm there.
Are you kidding me?
Are you? So here you are, a Jewish kid from the Bronx, suffering all of the indignities that we all did from various and cultural backgrounds. Yeah. You speak Spanish fluently. First of all, how the hell did that happen?
Because I wanted to. Yeah. Where I grew up, which is the South Bronx, when I was about 10, the neighborhood changed.
Right.
And all of it, my best friend became Adalberto O'Neill. And Adalberto
O'Neill.
Only in America, Michael.
Irish dude.
Well, Adalberto O'Neill, there happens to be a lot of O'Neills in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
well, now I have a son named Matthew O'Neill Levine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. That is very cool.
And Matt works for Homeland Security. Anyway, I just love those people. And Adalberto and I, we used to drive, Addy, and we had a little scooters made with, what do you call it, wheels,
Sure.
Skate wheels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go all over the Bronx, the two of us. And he was my buddy. And his family loved me, but I couldn't talk to them. And Adalberto used to say, man, Spanish is easy. You could do it. Spanish is easy language. And, well, how do you say this? How do you say that? So I started to pick up a vocabulary, street Spanish.
Yeah.
And then I met my first love, Lydia Diaz.
That did it.
That did it for me. And I love the music. I love dancing. I love dancing salsa to this day. Yeah. And I don't know what the overlay is. It's incredible. I mean, we could probably talk for a couple of hours about this weird, otherworldly stuff that happened, but it did.
How did you guys meet? What's the connection there?
Okay, so we are with the Hudson Valley Center for Veteran Reintegration.
Okay.
And Michael is in our Warrior Writers writing group. Okay. And we meet every Tuesday night for a couple of hours, and we tell our stories because we both know that writing is healing.
Oh, yeah.
And that, when you're writing, you're thinking. And when you get those stories out on the page, not many people can get the stories out like Michael does. I cannot tell you. It's really quite remarkable. But that's how we met. And it's been an absolute pleasure and honor.
Yeah, for me, too. You guys are just the greatest.
I did want to ask you a question about, so here you are undercover in Argentina, and all those passports that you had, and you spoke Spanish fluently, and you picked it up at a rather late age, which I did not know. How? And people would say, at least in the book White Lie, that you have a Venezuelan accent. Oh no, you have an Argentinian accent. You sound like you're from Puerto Rico. So how did that whole thing kind of unfold? Did it get in your way?
No, not at all. What happened, first of all, I was passing myself off as an international drug dealer, a guy who traveled from country to country. In those years, I was living in Argentina. I wasn't just, I spent 4 years living there. Yeah. And from there, they would send me to Venezuela. They would send me to Puerto Rico. They would send me all over the world working undercover. I was one of the few people in DEA that actually had fake passports and went into other countries, and I knew how to make cocaine from the leaf. Well, you have to do, if you're going to deal on that level,
you got to know your stuff.
You've got to. And I did, so I'd get calls from headquarters. We need somebody to play Mr. Big. Okay, where and when, and I would do it because I loved it. You understand the living on the edge, you're acting for your life is what you're doing. People say I'm undercover. Every cop says I'm undercover. If you put a gun on your hip and you're in plain clothes, you're not undercover. Yeah. Undercover is when you sit in a room.
Take on a role.
You play a role. You seduce somebody out of their life. You get them to like you, and then
you get them. Yeah, you
destroy them.
Yeah.
But that's the game. And they really have to like you to trust you on that level. But you get to like them too.
Right.
It hurts.
Yeah.
The whole thing really, really hurts.
Yeah.
Well, back to undercover. If you talk to, like, everybody's got an undercover division. The ASPCA has people working undercover. Everybody.
That's like undercover boss, right? Undercover boss.
Go ahead, Mike.
Informers now undercover. They write books. They're undercover. Yeah, you're an informer. You're a trader. You're not undercover.
Right.
See, I took an oath. To obey the law. Informers don't. They go in. They take dope. You can't. In fact, men I know have died because they couldn't take drugs. They wouldn't. They were afraid for their job. They're undercover, and you're acting for your life. They're given a choice. Chris Hoban, wonderful. He was a New York City detective working with DEA, and Chris Hoban came in Washington Heights, goes in the doorway to buy crack cocaine, from a Dominican drug dealer. The guy says, "You want to buy it? Try it." And he hesitated. He said, "Well, bang, that was enough.
Done.
Dead. That's how fast you die."
Yeah.
And I think I was telling the group, an undercover dies alone in dark places. And Kiki Camarena, an undercover, he was picked up. People hate you. If you do an undercover, they hate you afterwards. They just hate you. You're like the wife or the husband who cheated. You're a pariah.
Yeah.
So they want to do anything they can to hurt you. Kiki Camarena is the worst example. He was arrested by Mexican police, taken to a ranch. A doctor was there to keep him alive, and they took a white hot tire iron, and put it in his rectum. And he lived something like 20 hours, and they recorded it. They recorded his death, and somehow Central Intelligence got the recording. And nobody asked him, how the F did you guys get that recording if you weren't in position to...
Right.
How?
Either.
And there's a whole lot of questions like that in my life that we can go into. But you're
Yeah.
Oh my God. So one of the questions I had, one of the scenes in this magnificent book, which occurs on page 183, which is the big white lie.
By the way, where can you get that book?
Michael,
you can get, the best is to get it
Amazon.
Yes, to get the e-version, but you can get
E-version,
it. Amazon. Yeah.
When
I say the e-version, it's cheap.
Yeah.
And it's got it's very.
Read it on your
terrific.
tablet,
it's easy.
or whatever,
Yeah.
laptop.
So one of the scenes in the book that really impressed me was, here you are, totally undercover, very, very deep, and you are working out because you need to release stress, and so you find yourself in a gym with three Jews from New York, and these are older guys, and they and you're doing push-ups, and basically, and you write it with a dialect, so give the guy some room, that kind of stuff, and then you decide in this moment, which I found fascinating, which is why I'm bringing it up, that you're going to tell them who you really are. I'm Mike Levine. I'm from the Bronx, and all of a sudden you are out from undercover, and I got the distinct impression that was a liberating moment for you.
Huge.
Can you tell us a little bit
Sure,
about that,
huge.
being able to say who you really are after living deep cover?
First of all, these guys were incredibly funny, just natural street funny. Three old guys, and what are they talking about? They're talking about, I forget the actor, John Garfield, I think, how John Garfield, he died in the settle.
In the settle.
He died in the settle. You believe it? He
Rockefeller,
says,
right?
So I'm doing push-ups, so I'm listening to this. He says, they couldn't get him apart. They had to take him out.
That's hilarious.
So
Great.
It dragged me out. All this time, I had been Miguel Luis Garcia, and that was my role. That was my personality.
Don
That was
Miguel.
who I,
Don Miguel.
And I'm in that role because you're literally acting for your life. This is undercover. You go into these dark places where everybody's armed. You're not armed. Why are you not armed? Because you don't want to arouse suspicion. They're looking to see if you have a gun, so you don't wear a gun.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do because you know that if you go in, here's the radio call. Uncle going inside. That's it. Uncle going. Now, when you go inside, all the cover that you have, the so-called cover, they can't help you.
Yeah.
They can't help you. They're out there.
Yeah, you're in there by yourself.
And so it was an immense relief to say, I'm Mike Levine, because that probably was the first time I said that, maybe in 15 or 20 years.
Wow. And then they say 3 or 4 minutes. I'm just telling you. Why don't you book this guy for an hour?
I'm going to. And I just want to say that because of Michael's incredible experience, you should also know that he was a technical consultant to the NBC miniseries Kingpin and an actor and technical consultant to the Showtime series Street Time. And the recollection that I have of the story is that you were called in as a technical advisor, but you were better than the actor on the set, so they hired you.
This is a whole. By the way, this is a whole show. Richard Stratton. It was Richard Stratton. Richard Stratton did a lot of jail time. He came out and became a producer, movie maker, incredibly talented writer, and he and I are friends. And he asked me to be a tech advisor, and from being a tech advisor, he said, "Why don't you play the role of Luc Rivard?" I had already done stage acting, and I was happy as hell to do that, and had the series been picked up for another year or so, I might not be here. I might be, that was my career.
Right.
I loved it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You cannot find me in IMDb. I don't know why, but I have to show you the clips.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah,
we got a quick phone call we got to take. Good morning, caller. You're on KCR. What's your question or comment?
Good morning, gentlemen. My question is for Michael. So, what is your feeling about what's going on down at the southern border right now with the openness and the possibility of drugs coming in?
That's the hype. If you put an army down there, arm in arm across the border, you won't stop 1 gram of drugs from coming in. And I'll tell you why. Most drugs come in hidden in shipments. And there's an immense amount of shipping traffic that goes from Mexico up to the United States. And you'll find it in furniture, you'll find it hidden in paintings, you'll find it, tons and tons and tons of it. Those few things that they get, well, it's not few, they get a lot of dope. And the answer is because America is like a huge magnet, the buyers of drugs. I was invited to be a speaker in Paris. International Drug Watch organization. It was sponsored by the French government, and a man by the name of Michel Chossudowski got up on the stage, and he was an advisor to the IMNF, a economic professor in the University of Ottawa, and he said the following. He says, if America stopped buying drugs tomorrow, there would be an international banking crisis. Now, that's your answer. And Michelle became my friend after that.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for your service to this country. Yeah. We appreciate it. We appreciate the job that you have done for this country and the sacrifices you have made. So thank you very much, sir. And, hey, it would be great to get you back on again.
We're going to have him back on.
A very interesting half hour. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's in the books.
George, thank you for calling in. Michael, unfortunately, this half hour went in a blink. It really. I mean, this is amazing stuff. I want to echo what George Post just said. Thank you for your service and all you've done. And
thank you.
Richard, thank you for getting this great man on.
I am very happy that Michael found the time to join us today.
Thank you.
And
you
really
live locally?
Looking forward.
Yeah, I live straight down Lucas.
Mamma mia, Papa Pia. What have we been doing?
About 8 miles straight down Lucas.
Okay. That's excellent. Okay, so, Michael, we're going to have you back.
Yeah,
we'll get that going. And I also want to remind you, Tony, that Michael is a host. He was on WBAI. I've listened to it. He's very good on his feet. So I'd like to recommend that we bring him in as a host.
Down, he's good.
He's not too bad sitting down either.
Well, I want to tell you, gentlemen, that this is much cheaper than a psychiatrist.
Michael Levine, thank you for being with us. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your service. Michael. Be well, be safe.
Thank you.
All right, Lawrence, take it away.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, When you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity, and be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
You hit a grand slam today. Okay, folks, we're back to Thunder Thursday. This is Tony Marmo, and my co-host is...
Richard Catabiani.
Yes, the great one.
I'm not undercover today.
Oh, you're yourself.
I'm going to be myself.
I don't know if we're ready for that.
That's excellent,
Well,
Dan.
Yeah. So you want to introduce our third guest or the last
Yes,
guest
I
for this
Well, let's
segment?
just say that there's no way I'm going to live up to your last guest. You know,
Yeah, you
undercover. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Stunning.
It is amazing, but you know the whole notion is community, right? And these are the folks we live in. These are the folks who live in our community.
Yeah.
And Dr. Marat is a very strong advocate of community, and she served SUNY Ulster for 28 years.
Sheesh.
28 years, retiring as
Can you imagine?
senior vice. Well, she started in the middle school.
Well, I was going to avoid that,
Right.
Richard.
Right out of
It's
Girl
too
Scouts.
obvious.
Right out of Girl Scouts.
So she's retired as a senior vice president only 3 years ago. She is also a trustee on the Ulster Savings Bank Board, an institution she has served for 23 years since 1988.
At 98.
That's right. That would be right.
You're an English teacher.
You know
Math
the
is not a
math.
strong suit.
You know the
Right.
math challenges that I face. She also serves on the board of the Hudson Valley National Center for Veteran Reintegration, and I am thrilled that Ann is driving the bus on this. And
Yeah.
she's also on the Rip Van Winkle Council of the Boy Scouts, and one of our Rotarians, Dana Kuhns, is a member of our
exec,
club.
right, the
Yeah,
exec.
he's the CEO of that council. We were
Right.
on a Zoom call just last night. And you're a graduate of SUNY Ulster and then went on to Syracuse, and you've earned your doctorate in executive leadership at St. John's Fishers College. And I think that's remarkable. So basically, there's so much to talk about, Ann. Tell us a little bit about the challenges, or actually talk to us a little bit about the Hudson Valley Center for Veteran Reintegration and what you're doing there and why.
Well, first and foremost, this is the vision of Kevin Keaveney.
Yeah.
And Kevin has been serving as the executive director of this organization full time without compensation. I mean, this is really a passion he has to help military adjust and transition successfully to the civilian life. I mean, we know the staggering statistics. 18 veterans take their lives every day in this country. About 50,000 veterans are homeless in any given year. And so the transition from military life to civilian life as veterans is extremely difficult for many. There are struggles, there's untreated PTSD, There's the adjustment to family and friends when your life had been so regimented and prescribed for you, and now you're left on your own. So Kevin, along with colleagues from SUNY Ulster, actually, other people he met, Frank Ruggiero.
Correct.
Another former student at SUNY Ulster, got together and said, listen, we need to do something about this. We need to do something about this locally. And they formed this organization. It became a 501c3 in 2019, really August of 2019. So it is fairly new. And they are committed to reaching out to veterans and providing support and resources. We don't provide clinical support.
Right.
We are non-governmental, but it is veteran to veteran right now, veteran to veteran peer support, providing a shoulder, an ear, a like-minded individual to talk about problems, struggles with. Someone who's not going to judge you because they have been there and they may be dealing with it themselves. And we provide referral then to clinical and community-based services. But then we also provide a variety of services and programs and activities. Richard, I heard you reference Warrior Writers, the previous guest, which you head up so wonderfully. Writing is healing. Vice versa. The Wooden Boat Workshop is I think a flagship project of the center, where veterans can come in, men, women, and we serve, by the way, anyone regardless of branch, rank, or discharge status. Anyone can come into the workshop, participate in. Really, boat building has become the signature activity, particularly kayaks. So one of our favorite events is having the veterans launch the kayaks that they built on the Hudson.
Big deal.
It really is.
Share with the folks, Ann, if you will, the wonderful story about how when your father passed, Al, as I recollect his name was, you and the tools, your dad's woodworking tools, and where they wound up.
Right. So my father died somewhat suddenly in 2012, and he had been a lifelong woodworker. He was an engineer with IBM, out of the U.S. Navy, benefited from the GI Bill, first in his family to go to college. But one of his hobbies was woodworking, and he had quite a shop. He would build beautiful bowls, with lathes and furniture. He made many things for my brother, sister, and I. He made wooden boat models that, while they were kits, the directions might have been written in Italian, and so intricate, so beautiful. And we have a number of those. But he also built canoes. Oh. And he died suddenly. We didn't have the heart to just kind of discard his tools. So my husband and I put them in our basement, and it was a basement full. A table saw, all kinds of things. And Kevin Keevan and I met at SUNY Ulster, really over a conflict, but I had started the veterans program at the college, and Kevin came in, and we worked things out. It was fine. I don't need to go into that. But then I heard Kevin was going to start this nonprofit group about to help veterans and build boats. And I said to my husband, okay, here we go. We have got to give my father's tools to Kevin. So he and Bill Carr came over one day and happily loaded up a trailer and a half or something. And what is so gratifying for me now is to see these tools being used.
Yeah. So your dad lives on?
He does, U.S. Navy veteran. He lives on. And what's even more poignant is that they are in the building, they are in the complex that my father worked in at IBM
Wow,
for
that's where your dad
a zillion years. So
Great connection. And
Circle.
why did you start the veterans program at the college? What was the motivating?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so my job was enrollment management, and that's getting students in and keeping them there, right? That's part of them, and making sure they're successful, and working with the faculty and staff to provide those programs and services to do that. And on the national scene, we were hearing about the benefits with veterans were receiving, and colleges and universities need to do a better job in serving them. And so Don Cott and I convened regularly. I won't even call them focus groups, just chats around the table with different student groups, athletes, different majors, LGBTQ students, veterans, and to hear what are we doing well? What do we need to do better? We can't do everything for everyone, but,
give us some input.
Help us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the veterans we convened, again, all ages, all branches, men and women, said, one of the things we'd really like is to have, first of all, a designated space where we can just go and decompress and speak with like-minded people, again, know that there's no judgment. But we would also like, if you can, to have someone who understands veteran benefits, the veteran system, the financial part, and navigating the veteran, exactly. We would really appreciate that. So we were able to get together a part-time job and bring someone in who spoke the language. And so, and it grew because then, there are other issues, there are other concerns they have, and certainly the college was constrained with resources, so we couldn't do everything we wanted to, but it was a start.
And a very good one at that. The notion of reintegration is really important because as a community college aficionados that we both are, we both love the idea of the community college, which in my humble opinion is the greatest educational reform that America ever came up with, because basically it's just school to work,
right,
which is important. The notion of community colleges and veterans as being reintegrated. Can you talk a little bit about, how the community college might be a real fulcrum, a simple tool to get people back in the game a wee bit, if you will, please?
Yeah. Well, Richard, you and I often speak about community colleges serving the 17-year-old to the 70-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have a single demographic. It's a microcosm of the community.
Melting pot, right?
It absolutely is. And one of the things about community colleges that is so wonderful is that we're nimble. So we can be responsive. We have our ear to the ground all the time. We pay attention. We're aware. We're out in the community. What do people need? And so I think we have a little more flexibility to offer the services, the support that help people come back in to civilian society and use that military occupational specialty they have, perhaps, in a different way. How do you see yourself now in the civilian life? And again, we have services to provide the counseling, career counseling, academic counseling. What are your interests? Where are you right now in your life? So really provide the support to help them take stock of where they are and start articulating where they might like to go. And then again, as they are able to interact with other veterans, they see, oh, this is possible. Okay, I can see myself doing this. All right, everyone has these same struggles, these same doubts and concerns. And so I think we're just more accessible to them.
I think the word nimble is absolutely brilliant. You're right. We are nimble. And the notion that some folks will come in with some great, both men and women, will come in with some great skill sets. They don't necessarily need to get an associate's. They can get stackable certificates and licensing. So can you talk a little bit about that, Doctor?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the areas that's evolving in higher education is is the question, do you need a 4-year degree right away? Do you need a 2-year degree? Perhaps there are bite-sized chunks. We can provide you certificates in 6 months that equip you with skills where you can be employed.
Very employable. Make you
very employable. And by the way, you can come back after you're working and perhaps add on to that. And for a lot of people, it's a much more manageable way to see themselves
and less
through
daunting,
a degree.
perhaps, too.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mrs. Mindy Cole's, she's involved in it now?
Oh, yeah. Mindy Cole.
Great.
I understand there's one in advanced manufacturing, pre-apprenticeship at SUNY Ulster. There's one in leadership, customer service. Deb Kaufman sent me a list yesterday. I was asking her about that.
Administrative option 2, administrative assistant
Assistant,
skills or executive
yeah,
assistant
perhaps.
skills. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. They're great.
So, in a manner of speaking, the community college experience, the general experience in education today is pretty much like language. It has to change to keep relevant, right?
Constantly
So
evolving.
it's constantly evolving. And so I know that when we chatted the other day, you were really quite excited about your own experience about taking an online class that it's pretty clear to everyone who knows me, there's no way I'm going to be able to do an online class because
Richard, you're going to be my project.
Exactly.
You're going to be my first student.
Okay. But tell us a little bit about how the excitement I heard in your voice was just great. You were having fun. You were staying relevant. You were staying current. And you seem to have a clear vision of how this can help people in terms of online learning. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Right. So I was explaining to Tony before, one of the things I love about what I'm doing now is being able to do a lot of different things. And I looked at where I wanted to go next, and I really would like to teach online at the doctoral level, particularly leadership. My doctorate is in executive leadership. I think I have
important.
A couple of lessons learned from the School of Hard Knocks, being a senior administrator and still standing. So, the first thing I should say is that online education is not recording yourself giving a lecture and posting it online. That is one of the worst ways to do it, particularly in hour-long blocks. I mean, oh boy.
Sedative of sorts, right?
Oh, yeah. But there is a whole pedagogy. There's a whole way of teaching online that engages the student socially, with the instructor, with other students, cognitively, intellectually, but you've got to learn how to do that. And so I'm taking right now, and I have been over the last year taking a series of workshops, but now I'm in a 10-week intensive online course to learn how to do this.
Thank you, pandemic?
Thank you, pandemic. Yeah, maybe. Absolutely.
Attributed to the whole online explosion that happened because
exactly.
of the pandemic.
And let's say we know that online is not for everyone. I don't pretend that. But adults, people working, balancing family, career, maybe aging parents, they do like this option.
I also think that online learning, I'll just use the warrior writer experience, is that because it's remote, we can access people who are not that mobile, who are shy of coming out of the house after being isolated, very big word as we all know, for over 18 months. And that when you offer something like this window of opportunity via the internet, all of a sudden you are removing them from those,
barriers.
Yeah,
barriers,
absolutely.
that's the right word.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And to your point, Richard, what I find particularly exciting is you can have people from different countries, right? In your course, for example, talk about leadership, right? From different cultures, different cultural perspectives. So that's when it becomes really rich, and you learn so much from your peers online when you begin to share those experiences like that. You're not confined to one geographic area anymore.
Correct. And it takes a certain type of person to do that. I just want to share something about when Ann met with Kevin Kevening We were at a pretty intense workshop about a month ago where we were strategizing how to move the center forward. And the facilitator said, well, how did you two meet? And Kevin basically said, well, I came in there, I was loaded for bear, I'm paraphrasing, and I was just had it. And then I met Ann, and she was kind, considerate, listened, did not interrupt, and basically heard.
I don't think my family would describe me that way.
Well,
yeah, that's everyone's
my
got
work
that.
life.
Everyone's got that.
but I and then in my experiences with Dr. Murat, I mean, she just championed. If you had a good idea, and I'm fond of saying a good idea is a greater monument than any cathedral. If you have a good idea, Ann was there, and I came with this harebrained idea right after 2001, and we should start an international program because everybody's running away from international. She said, okay.
Because of 9/11-ish?
Yeah.
No, not really. But
well, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And 20 years later, that's as long we worked together. And I just want to say that you are truly a great leader because you are non-judgmental and you actually.
So let me pile on a little bit. Ann was saying earlier that she was, I following such a great person in Michael Levine, and you are an Ulster County legend. You are.
Yeah.
You
my
absolutely
goodness.
are. You are. I'm telling you, I've known you for a long time, and you have broken barriers for women. You have represented yourself so well over the years. We're privileged and honored to have you in our county, really. And you keep going. You're just like the ever-ready bunny. You just don't stop.
Thank you,
in
Tony.
your own way.
Thank you, Richard.
And I will tell you this, that our daughter Ella is truly, you are one of her, you were one of the role models that because when Ella was working with Hope Windle in the Learning Center way back in those days, she would see you and hear you and watch you, and she said, who is Ms. Murat? And I said, well, she's a remarkable person. And over the years, your name has come up in our family as, just a great role model. And you should know that.
Well, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Love Fest is over. Thank you. But I want to share a story with you that that inspires me, and inspired me for so many years at the college. I think I was an associate dean at the time, and one of the terrifying and absolutely exhilarating aspects of working in a small college is that you get to do everything. You get to do the strategic, the operational, and the tactical, usually in 3-minute increments. And I had my office in the admissions office, and the phone was ringing. Everybody was busy. Is it my job to answer the phone technically? No, but,
jump in.
All hands on deck. So we had a new admissions director, and she wanted everybody to get these contact cards, fill out the name, the address, ask them what are they doing now, and ask them what made them call us. So I'm doing my job there, and I get the personal information, and I ask the woman, what are you doing now? She said, well, I work in a laundromat. And later on, I said, okay, what made you call us? She said, well, I got one of your brochures in the mail, a while ago, and I put it aside. And the other day I asked my 6-year-old daughter, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she said, I want to work in a laundromat just like you, Mommy. And there was a little catch in the woman's voice, and she said, I need to prove to both of us that we're capable of more. Mm-hmm. And she came into human services, she eventually got her degree, and that always stuck with me about how precious community colleges are. Because here this woman hadn't made the investment in herself for whatever reason, but she was going to do it now to be sure her daughter made one in herself with higher education.
Great story.
And it's so simple, but
sure.
It's so powerful, and that's how you transform communities, right?
One at a time, right? Absolutely.
So we are all capable of more, and to give the folks the opportunity to do that in an intergenerational setting, as we both know the community colleges provide, is really a gift.
Absolutely, and that's what inspires me to work with the Hudson Valley National Center for Veterans Reintegration, is helping people achieve their best self in the next chapter.
That's perfect. Thank you. That's great.
Richard, did we have Kevin on our show?
We did.
You had him as
yes,
a guest a few months ago, I
yes.
think. Kevin Keevan. He was
Yes,
great.
yep.
He was awesome. What an inspirational guy, and obviously the work that he's doing is impacting a lot of lives. So
absolutely,
that's kind of what it's all about, really.
So basically, what are you doing to take care of yourself? How are you?
What are you doing for fun?
How are you just, because I know I've watched you for over 20 years. You are, in fact, the Energizer Bunny. You are very thorough, very thoughtful, very complete in everything you do. Always open for other suggestions. So I'm imagining that you must need some kind of release, and I know you're not working undercover. That I know.
No, definitely.
We leave that to Mike Levine.
Yeah, absolutely. That is better left to Mike Levine. I do think being able to pursue a variety of interests is really the key for me. I continue to love my work with Ulster Savings Bank on the board.
Yeah, Bill Calderera is great.
Oh, Bill is fabulous. The team is fabulous, and what the bank does for the community is incredibly valuable. And working with the board, I thoroughly enjoy that. Cooking, obviously, I enjoy doing that, but being passionate about what I'm doing is the key.
Are you a walker at all?
Oh yeah, I walk. Yeah, my sister's a yoga instructor, so she's doing Zoom yoga with me over the last couple days, and I'm really loving that.
And given the fact that you are such an excellent role model for so many young women, would you kindly tell us what your oldest daughter is doing right now? Is it Catherine, as I recollect?
It's Catherine, yeah, and just turned 24 yesterday.
Oh, wow.
She is a PhD student at Vanderbilt University in
apple in a tree on this one, right?
biomedical engineering, and our youngest daughter is a junior at RPI in biomedical engineering as well.
Wow.
So we have about a minute or so, I think. Lawrence, right? We're coming down on time.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
I was
No
texting
worries.
somebody.
No worries. And so,
We have about a minute left.
So some final thoughts and words of wisdom, or just...
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that heavy?
He's tricky. He's tricky.
I know.
I don't know that I have any words of wisdom, but I think getting in touch with your passion, your purpose. A lot of people say, "Why do you keep going? You're retired. You have to have a purpose. What's your purpose?"
Yeah.
And it's not for me to judge what your purpose is, but our friend Arnaldo says you have to have something to worry about.
And serving others. I mean, I think that's a
Absolutely.
motivator for you, and I know Richard and I. I mean, it's kind of birds of a feather there. If we're not serving others, we just kind of feel like we don't have a purpose.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Interesting. Dr. Amrut, thank you so much for
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
for being here.
We'll have you back, Ann.
By the way, this
not after Mike though. That's a tough
absolutely
act.
one of the best shows, in my opinion. The three guests we've had. These shows will be up on YouTube probably by tomorrow. Close of business. Our previous 6 or 7 shows we put up on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
So you can go back and listen, watch. If you've missed parts of the show today, you can look at it again or listen to it again. So
I believe they go back to like a month. I was looking at them the other day.
Lawrence, they go back
and we got
further than
stuff
that.
that's still on there from June.
Oh yeah, no, they
Yeah,
go back.
so
they go
I
back
don't know
a long
how many
time.
they hold,
So-
but
yeah, this was a special show. Thank you, Richard, for
My pleasure. Thank
bringing
you,
three
Ann.
amazing people into the studio today, and
Well-
so being so well prepared, right?
All local kids just doing well.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
just
yeah,
love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Tilson, New York, isn't it?
Tilson, that's right.
So, all right, we got to go. Be well, be safe. Do a random act of kindness for somebody out there.
So right.
Be
Tony.
kind to each other.
all right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.